Just for those present here and those viewing remotely, witness I wanted to have a discussion with Ms. Powe, the evidence leader, and that took quite some time. We are ready to proceed now.
Yes, Chair, we are.
Yes. Good morning, witness I.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Commissioners, during the break, first of all, we are thankful for the indulgence and the opportunity to consult. During that break, witness I indicated that he would like to do a short supplementary statement to address a few issues, and so we had to take that. We now beg your indulgence to hand up the supplementary statement so that we can start there this morning.
Thank you.
Witness I.
Yes, morning.
Witness I, can you confirm that you have a statement in front of you which is 4 pages?
Yes, I confirm.
And can you confirm that you prepared this supplementary statement to give further evidence this morning?
Yes, I confirm.
And can you go to the last page of the statement and confirm that that is your signature?
Yes, I confirm.
And can you confirm that the contents of the statement are true and correct?
Yes, I confirm.
And you also confirm that the initial at the foot of each page is yours.
I confirm, Commissioner.
Thank you, witness I. If we can then go through the statement, and can we proceed from paragraph 3?
Okay. Paragraph 3, preparing this statement to the testimony I made yesterday, particularly to deal with 2 aspects. Firstly, my relationship with Mr. Matlala, and second, the status of the DPCI, terms in particular. A relationship with Mr. Matlala. Yesterday, I testified that I do not have a direct relationship with Mr. Matlala and that any communication was facilitated by Captain Zungu. I did not disclose that in 2023, I stayed at Mr. Matlala's family property in Mamelodi for a period of approximately 2 years.
When you mean, sorry, witness, when you say familial property, do you mean his parental home?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Continue.
The circumstances of my stay are as follows. On or about September 2023, there was an attempt on my life. I was residing in Mamelodi when a group of 4 men attacked me at my residence. I was inside the house when I heard a loud bang at the gate. I went outside with my wife, holding my state firearm. When I opened the gate, the group attacked me and hit my head with a metal object, resulting in a serious head injury. I was bleeding and incapacitated when they assaulted me, breaking my left hand and several fingers. They then stole my state-issued firearm and left me for dead. My wife called the police and an ambulance. I was transported to the nearest hospital where I was hospitalized for a period of about a week. The state firearm was later recovered by Tom's members. I heard that the attack was a hit and that the group was actually sent to kill me. I did not get any information regarding who may have sent the group to kill me. Fearing that my home had been compromised, I was trying to think of a solution to ensure that me and my family are safe. Captain Zungu had a similar fear. He warned that I was injured and that the group may come back and finish the job. He then suggested that I relocate temporarily and that he will arrange a house for me. He then took me to a house. I did not know at the time whose house it was. I only found out during the course of my stay that the property belonged to Mr. Matlala. At the time, this did not concern me because I knew Mr. Matlala as a businessman. During my stay, I did not meet or talk to Mr. Matlala. This is consistent with what I testified yesterday. I have had no direct communication with Mr. Matlala until I met him with Captain Zungu and Brigadier Mukwena, as mentioned in my statement. I did not disclose this in my statement or during testimony because I didn't think it was significant, because during that time, I did not talk, meet, or communicate in any way with Mr. Matlala. However, yesterday after my testimony, I received a number of calls warning me that the seniors are not happy with my testimony. One of my members informed me that there is a plan to disclose my stay at Mr. Matlala's house as a way of discrediting me. I considered the warning important and deemed it a threat to shut me up and or discredit me. I therefore thought it important to bring this issue to the Commission's attention and to disclose fully what happened during the time I resided at Mr. Matlala's house. I maintain that I'm committed to cooperating with the Commission and doing so honestly. I hope that the Commission considers this in that light. Should I proceed?
Yes, you can.
Status of DPCI terms. In paragraph 7 of my statement, I listed a number of duties under terms. I have been informed by members that, as threatened by General Board, Tom's mandate has been completely dismantled. Members basically provide escort services to other units of DPCI. Members were also forced to surrender tactical equipment such as rifles. These are now kept in the office, and members have to sign them out when needed. This does not allow for immediate response by members for tactical operational matters. Ever since General Mboto and Brigadier Mukwena took over, overtime for Tom's members has been scrapped. This means that if members work overtime, they are not compensated. Lastly, because of the frustrations and suppression of members by Brigadier Mukwena, hardworking, dedicated members have either resigned or took transfers out of Tom's. I request the Commission to look further into the DPCI terms, in particular because this will have a negative effect on crime fighting efforts.
Thank you, Witness I.
Good morning, Witness I.
Morning, Commissioner.
Can you just clarify it's paragraph D of, 5D. So let's say paragraph 5, subparagraph D. When you lived in this house in Mamelodi, I just want to be clear, were you living there with your family?
Yes, Commissioner.
And where was the Matlala family, the people who lived there before? Were they living there with you, or were you given access to an empty house to live in?
I was given access to an empty house.
So Matlala's relatives were not there.
No.
And who told you that this is Mr. Matlala's house? And what were the circumstances that led to that disclosure being made to you?
The house at the back, there were rooms. There was someone living in the rooms, not in the house, at the outside rooms.
And that person who rented the back rooms told you that this is Matlala's family home?
Yes.
And then you discussed it with Captain Zungu?
Yes.
But you never met Mr. Matlala during that period? In other words, he never came to that house?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Witness I. Commissioners, I propose to go back to and revisit the statement and just ask a couple of questions to Witness I thematically. For this purpose, I'm going to ask that you have stain exhibit file 2 handy. I'm told it should have a pinkish flag. Yes. And then additionally, overnight, I asked the attorneys to add one more document to that file. It will be at the end, I suppose, of that file. It's BM6A, which is taken from Mr. Mokhosi's annexures. Witness, can you confirm that you have your statement, the original statement, as well as file 2 in front of you?
Yes, I confirm.
All right, thank you. Just to begin with, you set out the number of training courses that you did during your time with the DPCI. Did you do any drug-related courses?
I attended a workshop for a period of a week in Bloemfontein 2020.
Was this
Stand-up workshop.
the sign-up workshop? And was this the only one?
Yes.
And when you were within the serious and organized crime unit between, you said from 2009,
Yes.
did the investigations in that unit include drug-related investigations?
Yes.
And during that time, how many drug-related operations were you involved in?
A lot of them. But the recent ones, I could only name 2 of 2020 and 2021.
In 2020 and 2021. So the 2020-21, do you remember the 2021? How big was that bust or operation?
The 2021, it was a boat. It was a truck carrying a boat, which boat had 1 ton of cocaine.
And what was your role during that operation?
I was called in by my commander to come to the scene on N1. When I arrived there, I found members of SANAP head office and members of my office with a truck carrying a boat by the side. And they were taking out the contents from the boat, putting them on the ground, which was ultimately found to be cocaine, which amounted to 1 ton.
And what was your role during that operation?
I was requested to go to office, obtain SAP 13 book from my office and bring it to Pretoria West Training College, where the cis cocaine was booked at for safety.
So that consignment was booked at the training college and not at a police station?
I believe it was booked when the docket was opened at Littleton. It was booked there, but it was booked there on the 13 book and taken to physically the cocaine was taken to Pretoria West College.
Do you recall why it wasn't taken to the lab?
I'm not sure because I was not involved in too deep on that. As I explained that for me, being knowledgeable of the scene is when I was found, and when I got there, I found SANAP head office and my office members already there.
Oh, so your role was just to bring the book, basically, the SAP 13 book.
Yes.
All right. And then in 2021, do you recall what that operation was?
In 2021, as a team leader of SANAP, my members received a tip-off of a person who will be transporting drugs, bringing them to Pretoria. The SANAP team of Pretoria Organized Crime activated the information and intercepted the said person on N4. And when the person was intercepted, the truck was found to be delivering, I think it was fruits or veggies. And the driver alleged he does not know anything, he's just transporting the fruits and veggies. But through investigation, ultimately, the vehicle contents were checked and crystal meth was found inside his vehicle worth about 600,000. The suspect was arrested and detained at Boschkop, and through court proceedings, the driver ultimately changed his plea from not guilty and pleaded guilty, and he was sentenced to 7 years direct imprisonment.
All right, thank you, Witness I. And your role in this one?
Which one? This one of Boschkop?
Yes, the 2021 one.
No, it was me and my members, the SANAP members for Pretoria Organized Crime.
Yes, what was your role?
I was leading the team on that operation.
So the scene was yours and everything?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So you are familiar with the relevant framework, including the protocol on search, seizure, handling, processing, and disposal of illicit drugs, as well as the National Instruction on Crime Scene Management.
Yes.
And you use these documents, particularly in that 2021 operation.
Yes.
And you generally comply with these documents when executing operations.
Yes, Commissioner.
If I may, Witness I, the 2021 operation, when in 2021?
It was in March, Commissioner.
Okay, so it was before the Ayrton operation.
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner.
Witness, just to confirm, after the Ayrton one, while you were still with SANAP, before you were transferred to Tom's, there wasn't another operation where you were involved in?
Not that I can recall of, Commissioner.
All right, thank you. Now, you testified yesterday that you had an understanding with other teams wherein they would call you if they encountered drug-related scenes. Was this an operational requirement, or was this something that you organized with other people?
No, it's something I informed other units within SAPS, other unit members whom I know.
So this was something that you did with people you know, not necessarily that this was an organized thing that was arranged operationally that you needed?
Yes.
All right. And then just to understand, generally, if you arrive at a scene and there are other police officers, take, for example, in Ayrton, you testified that DPCI Germiston was at the scene. How is a decision made about who gets to take over a scene?
I think the person who's responsible at the scene, he either continues leading the scene up until the scene is complete, or if he's not going to continue with the scene, the relevant people who must take over the scene will take it over. But when I go to...
I'm not sure I understand.
DPCI.
Sorry, witness. I am not sure I understand. Remember, in the Ayrton instance, you testified that when you arrived, there were DPCI Germiston members at the scene.
Yes.
And so you say you went directly to the 3 officers that were initially there and got a briefing with the purpose of taking over the scene. So I'm just trying to understand, in a context where there are those 3 members who initially were at the scene, there's DPCI Germiston who also have jurisdiction over the scene, and then you come in with your members. Who gets to decide who takes over the scene?
Circumstances surrounding how the scene came about.
So the circumstances surrounding how the scene came about. In this instance, the scene came about because of information by Mr. Nku.
Perhaps let me ask this. What do you mean by that?
The person
Yes.
first in attending to the scene, as I explained earlier, will deal with the scene until completion when it is completed. But in this instance, because it was drugs, DPCI needs to be in charge. I believe that's the reason why it was invited.
Yes, I understand. You are saying your testimony is that DPCI would have then been in charge. When you arrived, DPCI was at the scene. That was your testimony.
Yeah, I arrived. When I asked the members, DPCI Germiston and Joburg, they were just standing there. Nothing was being done in respect of the scene. They were just hanging around there on the scene. So as I arrived, Sergeant Pakola, who found me, took me to Warrant Officer Pakola.
Okay. I'm not sure I understand, but hopefully as we go through the events, we will get a better sense. In this...
Sorry, witness, if there are prescripts that state who is to be the lead or take the lead with regard to the crime scene, what do those prescripts say? And if someone has already been in charge, what dictates who is to take over from that person? I'm not sure that I understand what you are saying. You say, I think more than once in your statement, that you expected to take over, or that you should have taken over. We want to have a clear idea as to what informs all of that. Can you try to be clear?
Okay, Commissioner, the reason for me to go to the scene with my member was because my member received a WhatsApp notification the previous day, the Thursday night, that there is 23 bags of drugs leaving Durban coming to Gauteng. And my member, the source was informing him in respect of the inquiry dealt with by our office.
Sorry, witness. We've read that. That explains.
Yes.
That explains why, in the end, you were at the scene. That's not what I'm asking. That's not what I'm asking. A whole lot of other people would have had some basis to be at the scene. So that's not what I'm concerned with. What I want to know is what dictates who is to be in charge of the crime scene.
Personally, as I suspected the scene to be linked to my office inquiry, that's why I made the decision that I need to be briefed about everything. After then, I will take over, or I'll ask Warrant Officer Pakola to hand over the scene to me.
This may be unfair to you, but it sounds like you do not know what dictates who is to take charge of a crime scene. I've asked you twice. Ms. Boy asked you at least once. It may have been more than once. And you have not given a clear answer. Must I take it that you do not know?
Maybe, Commissioner, I'm not getting clarity of the question posed. Maybe if it could be cleared for me, Commissioner.
I will repeat it for the third time now. It is this. Your statement indicates more than once that you are the one that ought to have taken over, or rather to have been in charge once you had arrived, to have been in charge of the crime scene. The question is, what dictates or what prescript says that such and such police officer is the one to be in charge of a crime scene? What law, what prescript?
No, I'm not knowledgeable, Commissioner.
Sorry?
I'm not knowledgeable of any.
You do not know?
Yes.
That was my suspicion. The very fact that this question had to be asked 4 times between Ms. Bowe and me. Thank you.
Okay.
If I can just follow up, because I had a similar question, maybe phrased slightly differently, but it's the same in substance. When you arrive at the Eroton scene and DPCI is already there, what authorizes you, coming from SANEP, being a SANEP team leader, to argue with General Kadwa and say it should be your scene because you have an inquiry number from 2020? Doesn't DPCI have jurisdiction or authority to deal with the scene when they are there? What authorizes you to say to them, I must take over the scene because I have an inquiry number from 2020? Is there anything that authorizes you?
Commissioner, the fact that there is existing investigation already that succumbed, that then the scene could be part of that investigation.
Leave it there, because I take it that your answer to Chair remains you're not aware of any prescript. You're not aware of any document within SAPS or DPCI or SANEP. So when Chair says prescript, he refers to an official document that regulates how things work at SAPS. You're not aware of any document or policy or instruction that says you must take over the scene.
It's mandate of DPCI that drug-related matters are dealt with by DPCI.
Yes. So your criticism of DPCI is unfair then if they have a mandate to deal with the matter.
Commissioner, I never criticized DPCI. I was discussing with General Khan. It was not criticism. I was discussing with him.
All right.
You do when you say that without an inquiry number, that's what Commissioner Kumalo has just referred to, and I will add, and without a case number. You just didn't understand why they would be doing all the things that they did. So according to you, they either should have had an inquiry number or a case number. And because they did not have any of those, then there was everything wrong with what they were doing.
Not entirely, Commissioner.
Yes, I know. I actually have it. I'll show you in your statement. I've underlined it, and I have a question against it. It's just that your statement is not open, but I know when I open it, I will find what I'm talking about. You do say that.
I know, Commissioner.
You know that you do say. Sorry, you know that you do say that, eh? Don't you?
Yes, I know.
Yes.
Let me read it to you. It's in paragraph 19. The fourth line, you say, Major General Kadwa told me that Germiston DPCI will deal with the scene. And I asked on what case number or inquiry number, since there was none except the one from the Pretoria office. When I attempted to talk to Major General Kadwa about the inquiry file from my office, he essentially avoided talking to me by invoking the sub's chain of command, and thus instructed me to rather address Brigadier Sekhobela instead of him directly.
Yes, Commissioner.
No, what we wanted to demonstrate is that you do say this, that they should either have an inquiry number or a case number. You've already agreed that you do say that.
Yes. My discussion or my explanation to General Kwada in respect of that, I was bringing to his attention that Pretoria office already have an existing inquiry on same thing related to this, as there was also information which related to quantity which was suspected to come, and the one which was arrested by the members.
Thank you, Witness I. Now, I want us to deal with this inquiry because it seems to be the core basis upon which you say you asserted authority, and it's this basis upon which you then criticize other members that were there. You provided us with the cover page of the inquiry, and what we then did was to obtain the inquiry file itself. So if we can then go to page 276 of file 2, that stain exhibit file 2. 276. Now, in your explanation yesterday about what an inquiry is, you indicated that usually it's accompanied by a statement or a note of sorts that sets out the parameters of the inquiry. Is that correct?
Yes, Commissioner.
And so there is a statement, and that is at page 277.
Yes.
Now, if you have regard to that statement, the first thing to note is that in your statement you say it was around August 2020 when Sergeant Masoma opened an inquiry. Now, if you go to that statement and you'll see there it's a request to open an inquiry, you'll see it's not done by Sergeant Masoma. It's from a
Yes.
Sergeant Mokwebo. See that?
Yes, I see.
So that's paragraph 1 and even at the end. The second thing that you'll see in that explanation is that it first sets out the nature of this investigation. And it says there that this is a request, this is as paragraph 5. This is a request to open inquiry for further investigations. Herein it is alleged that persons as mentioned in Annexure A committed the offense of dealing drugs heroin, also known as nyaupe. It goes on at paragraph 6 to say that there is a group of Tanzanian nationals who are currently residing in South Africa. They sell drugs, nyaupe, for personal gain and also own businesses around Gauteng, Free State, KwaZulu-Natal as a cover-up for their illegal dealings. I don't want to read the whole thing, but it also includes the people that they work with, including the fact that they rely on Uber drivers for transporting drugs. Also deals with how these drugs are brought into the country, and you will note that they come in, or the allegation was that they come in from Pakistan via Mozambique. They're transported into the country through different Southern African borders, in particular, mostly Manguzi, KZN, Komatipoort, Mpumalanga, and Bait Bridge in Limpopo. And then on the next page, it lists the targets. What you will note about this is, one, apart from the fact that the Egerton drugs were, and what is described in this inquiry is an investigation into drugs, the type of drugs are very different. Secondly, the modus operandi is very different. This is transported through the borders of other countries. The targets are also very different. And on my reading of at least this note that summarizes what was to be investigated, it doesn't seem similar to the case or inquiry that you are talking about. Do you have a comment on that?
The only comment I will make, Commissioner, is that information was received from a source who confirmed the package to be related to what was investigated by our office. And the thing by Mukwebo, it was made by Mukwebo, but the inquiry was open to be investigated and assigned to Masoma.
Related how? Related how? This is about Pakistan, this is about different drugs and so on. This, the source, Pakistan, and through Mozambique and the other places on the east coast of our country. We are talking about something that is alleged to have come from Brazil here. And totally different drugs. So how do you say this was related to what you had been investigating already? Can you explain that?
Commissioner, the fact that the information, what is alleged, happened to be similar to what was happening.
You said related. Don't keep changing. You said related. And I understood related to mean connected. Now you're shifting and saying similar. Please explain yourself.
I will say it's related by the fact that information received is similar to that one of Egerton, of 23 bags commission.
I don't want to be rude. I almost said, so what? I will not say it. You see, the distinct impression that I get is that you wanted to use the inquiry you were already involved in as a foothold for you to go to Eratin, and getting to Eratin, then leapfrogging everyone else who was there to then say, because I already have an inquiry, I'm not even suggesting that that would have entitled you to take charge of the crime scene. But for you to then say, because I already have an inquiry that is related to what is happening here, I should take charge of the crime scene. That is what you wanted to do. That's the distinct impression I have. And yet it's clear from the facts that what you were investigating already had nothing to do whatsoever with with the drug bust at Eratin. It had nothing to do whatsoever. You may have gotten information from the same source, but that doesn't make the two the same. Your comment?
No comment, Commissioner.
Do you accept what I say? Do you accept what I'm suggesting to you?
Pardon, Commissioner?
Do you accept what I am suggesting to you?
I hear that, Commissioner.
Do you accept it?
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you.
And then, can I just raise another issue about this? You say to us in your statement that you left your office relying on Masoma, that this was the tip-off related to an open inquiry. But when you arrive at the scene in Erat, so you know what the inquiry is about, that Masoma falls under that inquiry number. Different drugs, as has been pointed out to you now. When you arrive at the scene and you find that it is in fact cocaine, surely you know it has nothing to do with this inquiry number, different drug altogether. You get information, it came off a ship in a container. You get all of those details. You can't reasonably at that point still have thought this has anything to do with the Masoma tip-off, or more directly has anything to do with your inquiry number. You now know it's a completely different drug than the one that is covered by that inquiry. Why do you at that point still take the posture that this is your inquiry, this is your scene? Because now you know it's a completely different drug, completely different mode of getting it into this country. It came from Brazil in a ship. It doesn't come from Mozambique and Pakistan. Why do you insist it's still yours at that point?
Commissioner, by then I didn't know how it came. That came about later on.
Well, you tell us in your statement that you were taken to Warrant Officer Pakula. So you arrive with Sergeant Pakula. You know there's DPCI, Germiston and Johannesburg who got there before you. You don't speak to them. You go to Pakula of the National Intervention Investigation Unit, in fact. You go to him, he briefs you about the scene. So at that point, unless you tell us that, you didn't ask for details, then you must explain what the briefing was about with Pakula. On the assumption that Pakula told you in that short briefing, this is what we are dealing with. We found, in fact, you do describe, you said bags of cocaine fell off and they put them in the van. So Pakula does tell you what they have happened upon. At that point, surely, you know different drug completely and therefore has nothing to do with your inquiry number. And the question is, with that kind of briefing, which has to be what he told you. We got a tip-off that there are drugs, cocaine coming up here. This is what we found. Pakula must have told you that when he gave you the first briefing. At that point, why do you still insist this is your scene? And this is the same inquiry number.
Commissioner Pakula, on the briefing, he briefed me about the driver and the fact that he's waiting for photographer. And I also questioned why the bags were out of the truck. I'll say that was the beginning of the briefing. It's when it was interjected by seeing the general from CI coming.
Well, you also do say that you spoke to Mashaba. So I'm struggling to understand then what briefing did you get about these drugs? If you're speaking to Sergeant Pakula, you're speaking to Warrant Officer Pakula, you're speaking to Warrant Officer Mohane, you're speaking to Chief Mashaba, you're on the scene, you speak to all four of them. How in discussing with all of those four people, would you still suspect that this has anything to do with your inquiry? Then what exactly were you discussing with them? Must be the question then.
No, I was not, Commissioner, maybe I don't know the understanding. I didn't discuss with all four of them. As I arrived, I only spoke with Pakola, the warrant. And it's when the scene I withdrew after the general came in from intelligence. Speaking with Mashaba, it was after when the intention to arrest them was brought. I only spoke with him then, not when I arrived, Commissioner.
You spoke to the driver and he told you that this come from port. The driver would have told you that because you tell us in 1331, I was briefed as follows. The driver was transporting the drugs. So at that point, you would have been informed that they were being transported from where? And the point, even on this limited issue, the point I'm raising with you is that, but at this point where you're told about the driver having driven to Eraton, you are given the story. He collected, he drove, he stopped at Yellow Jersey, and then he's here now. With all of that information, my question is, how do you still insist that this is has anything to do with your inquiry number? Without even asking what's in there. If you didn't ask that question, then you would have been the most irrational police officer on the scene to say, these are my drugs, or they relate to my inquiry, when you haven't asked what's there, or where does this come from? Those kind of basic questions. And I at this stage at least, I'm not accepting that you did not ask those questions. That would have informed you that maybe this is not, in fact, my inquiry number and I should stay out of it. Do you want to comment?
No, Commissioner, no comment.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I just understand this? The statement that Advocate Power has referred you to on page 277, had you seen it before you went to Araton? Had you seen this statement before the day?
It's a 2020 statement, Commissioner.
Yes, that's the one I'm asking you about. Had you seen it before you went to Araton in July 2021?
Yes, Commissioner.
So you knew that it related to Nyaupe?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
One other observation, sorry, Ms. Paul. One other observation, and it's a quick observation. This statement that you've been referred to of the statement that you've just been referred to now, it's accompanied by the contents of an investigation diary. And on a quick look of this from the beginning up to July 2021, there doesn't seem to be any reference whatsoever to Masoma. When one looks at the signatures, they seem to be signatures of people, none of whom appears. I'm not an expert in signatures, but I see Mohotsi and all sorts of other names. None of them seems to be Masoma. And so when you say he was investigating this inquiry, it was allocated to him because that's what you're saying. You say after the inquiry was opened by Mukwevo, then Masoma was appointed to conduct the investigation. Where do we see that in the investigation diary? On a quick look, I don't see him. And I must confess that I have had a quick look at this and I may have missed it. But even on that quick look, he doesn't seem to feature here, which would suggest he may well have. If that is so, then perhaps it's a misrepresentation to say this was allocated to him even to investigate and therefore justify his saying that the Eratin drugs, he believed that they belonged to this file. Witness I.
Yes, Commissioner.
Yes, you hear what I'm saying. I've had a quick look at the investigation diary. Masoma's name doesn't seem to appear anywhere, and yet you say to us he was appointed to investigate under this inquiry number. I would maybe let me ask you a question. Is it wrong to expect that his name would feature in the investigation diary somewhere that shows that he's the investigating officer here?
I'm saying that, Commissioner.
I'm saying, we should be seeing it in the diary, right? I would see it in the diary that Masoma was the investigating officer. No? Witness I.
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay, let me say this to you. We have now had evidence about the Port Shepstone drug bust. We have seen the investigation diary. It contains the names of the people that were the investigators in that diary, and under that inquiry, from the beginning, from day one, we have names of who were the investigating diary, the investigating officers, even as it changed. Here, Masoma doesn't appear as the investigator, and I'm saying to you, then surely it cannot be that he's the investigator and his name doesn't appear in the diary, which suggests he was not the investigating officer in this diary. That's the suggestion I'm making to you, that the absence of his name anywhere in the many pages of the investigating of this diary suggests he was in fact not the appointed investigator. Isn't that a fair observation to make? Witness, I'm going to take it that you agree with me that it's a fair observation to make that if he were the investigator, his name would reflect in the diary. Instead, other people's names appear, not his. So I'm putting to you that in fact he misled you, or you are misleading us when you say he was appointed the investigator. Otherwise, we would see it in the diary. And your inability to answer or to comment on what I'm putting to you, I say to you, I'm going to accept it as you agreeing with me that it is misleading by him or you that he was the appointed investigator under this inquiry.
Commissioner, I will say by inquiry register by the office, the appointed person was him. I was looking at the signatures here of the member who was signing here. And it seems like it looks like it's Mukwebo's signature. As it is the person who's always with him. It looks like Masoma never made any entry. Though in the inquiry register by the office, he is the appointed inquiry investigator.
Right. Thank you, witness.
Witness, I want us to deal with sort of your reliance. I know Chair put to you that you used it to leapfrog yourself so that you can take over the investigation. I'm of the view that it's worse than that, that rather you conspired with the first three to legitimize their operation because you knew that they had no basis to be there. But for me to demonstrate this to you, I'm going to walk you through it. Let's start with what you say at paragraph 11 in relation to who informed you about this operation. If we go, you testified yesterday that it was Sergeant Pakula of K9 unit who contacted you and told you that he was called to address a scene regarding a truck suspected of transporting 23 bags of drugs in the Johannesburg area. Now, I want us to go to Sergeant Pakula's statement. And for this, we will have to go to the exhibit file, the one that has a docket and CON DC. You can go to page 408.
What's written on the spine, Ms. Boy?
It says exhibit file, Boyson's case, and the case number, docket, and CON disciplinary. Would be the heaviest one. All right. Witness, I could just confirm. Found it.
Please.
Yes, I found it.
Page 408. You will see there it's a statement that was taken by IPID. And you'll see there that that's the statement of Andrew Pakula. In particular, I want us to go to paragraph 3. Oh, my apologies. Let's just start at paragraph 2. I'm just going to read through it quite quickly. At paragraph 2, he says, on same day, I telephonically received information from Warrant Officer Pakula from National Investigative Unit, National Office, requesting our assistance with narcotic dog concerning a container transporting narcotics from Durban Harbour. Sergeant Sabe immediately contacted our unit commander, Lieutenant Colonel Duplessis, asked for permission to assist Warrant Officer Pakula, and permission was granted. We then departed to said address. On our way, we requested Warrant Officer Pakula to send location, which he informed us he will send location when he arrives at the scene. After some few minutes, Warrant Officer Pakula sent location on my WhatsApp. He further asked if I still have Lieutenant Colonel Witness I's numbers from DPCI in Pretoria, and asked me to also subpoena Witness I.
You
So
should
sorry,
just auto correct things like the soup in there.
Yes, I'm gonna go with summon or tell. Witness I, as the container is a duplicate of his inquiry file, of which I did inform witness I and promised to attend. Did you follow those two paragraphs, witness I?
Yes.
So on his version, he doesn't say anything about having told you about the scene and the 23 bags. In fact, what he says rather is that his brother, Warrant Officer Pakula, called him and told him to bring the narcotic dogs to the scene. And he himself wasn't at the scene, because he then says that he shared the location after he arrived. And it is Warrant Officer Pakula who asks him to share the location with you. And interestingly there, he notes that he was informed by Warrant Officer Pakula that the container is a duplicate of the inquiry you are investigating. This to me suggests that rather there was a call between you and Warrant Officer Pakule. And whether it was you who made the suggestion to use the inquiry or him, you then decided that you will use this inquiry to legitimize their presence at that scene. Do you have any comment to that?
No, Commissioner, the comment I'll make is that I never knew Warrant Officer Pakula up until that day. The only person I knew was Sergeant Pakula and Sapi.
And so are you suggesting there that Sergeant Pakula is lying in his recollection of the events?
Maybe the facts they present are not detailed as they should be, because I didn't know Warrant Officer Pakula. And if Warrant Officer Pakula knew me, I don't know on which basis, because I only knew Sergeant Pakula.
Witness I, maybe then let me tell you what you've said about this situation. For this, I need us to go to the stain file 2. And if we can just go to page 203. Yes, 203. Maybe just to note, this is a recording of the meeting that took place between yourself, a colonel from Crime Intelligence, and Mr. Mokhotsi, the Houghton meeting. Now we'll deal with the meeting in detail and go through what transpired there. But for purposes of the point we're dealing with, if we go to page 203, are you there, witness I?
Yes.
This is the transcript of the recording that was taken by one of the participants of this meeting. You'll recall even in your statement, you noted that you learned later that the meeting was recorded. Is that correct?
Yes.
So this is a transcript that was produced by DPCI. And, oh goodness. If you go to just about the middle of the page, where it says, man 2, all right, talk with me then. Maybe we start at man 1, right in the middle of the page. It says man 1, it's the truth reflection of what transpired, but let me give you a glimpse into what I penned. Can you see that?
Yes.
Now, I'm just going to go through it quickly. Now, you see, from my reading of this, man one was you.
Yes. Oh, yeah, continue. Maybe you're about to deal with what I wanted to raise.
All right. Man one appears to have been you.
Do you confirm that, witness I, are you man one there when you read this and in accordance with your own recollection? Are you man one?
Yes, Commissioner.
And on my reading, man two appears to have been the crime intelligence officer. From your reading, can you confirm that?
Yes.
And man three appears to be Mr. Mahotsi.
Yes.
Now, when you go from that middle of the page, right, you'll see there, you say, it's the true reflection of what transpired, but let me give you a glimpse into what I penned. Man two says, all right, talk with me then. Man one, which is you, says, it's the truth, ne? It's not mentioned in my statement. Even the witnesses, they're not going to mention it. It's the truth, the real truth. But the real truth, I got it after the incident, after all these things. Man two says, yeah. You then say, what was happening with those guys, they wanted to, inaudible, while they wanted to do that, when things now come to the open, and it says inaudible speaking in Sutu. Man three then says, but for you to be hijacked, where was it coming from? Man one, you say Durban. Man three, from Durban until the inaudible. Man one, all of us were involved. Man three is inaudible. Man one, you say, I arrived. Okay, you know what happened. I arrived, ne? Man two says, when I arrived, this is you now. He said I needed to be briefed. While I was still being briefed, inaudible arrived. I immediately got there, inaudible arrived. When I got there, within 3 minutes, inaudible arrived. From the context, it appears to have been General Khan. Then man three says, that's when they legitimized the operation. You say, Man three says, when was the operation legitimized after? And then it says inaudible, or they found them. And then it says man one, yeah, man three, all right. You go to the next page, man one. After a couple of months after, I remember the guys, they were hitting inaudible. They now came to open, and when it came to open, they were fast in thinking. They legitimized things as if they were inaudible. They made calls and all that. They always called me being called. I legitimized the operation in a sense. At organized crime, I was heading somewhere inaudible, so they contacted me. Hey man, your things are here. Now, after that, it starts talking about where was Kado, which I suspect is where was Kadwa. But what it appears to me is that you were explaining to the Jew gentleman that you are called to legitimize these operations. And then one more reference in this is at page 205. Now, this is when you are discussing what to do to stop General Khan's hearing. And there was a suggestion that a letter be written to the minister. And again, in the middle of the page, you'll see where man 3 says, actually, let's start earlier, where you say, it's just the second entry. Man 3 says, now I'm saying the promotion you're talking about, it doesn't need for us to get Libya to do it. I think we need to pull proper strings. You say, Man 3 says, to pull proper strings, you can take these men down, these people. You can take them down alone. Man 1, you say, I can. Man 3 says, you. Man 1, you say, me. Man 3 says, yeah, you have to taken them down. We can get the minister inaudible tonight or tomorrow. And this, what we have just alluded, we will make it official. Then there's no hearing. You then say the story of and then Man 3 says, then there is no hearing because we know the only thing you cannot mention is that they asked you to come. They didn't say you'd come, but they say you were misled to say this inquiry is for this, whereas it is not. It was used to legitimize, and you then respond and say legitimize. And so, from this discussion, to my mind, it appears that what you were saying to them is that you use this inquiry to legitimize the operation. And when a scheme was being concocted to approach the minister, the only thing you were to exclude was the fact that you participated or used this inquiry to legitimize the 3 officers' presence. I know that was very long, but do you follow what I'm saying?
Yes, and can I give an explanation to that, Commissioner?
Yes, you can give an explanation.
As I stated in my statement that the meeting I had with the CI guy and Brown, I did suspect that I'm being recorded and that I'll play along with whatever they are doing. And the comments I made or the explanation I made of legitimizing is what I was informed by General Herba when he consulted with me. Remember, General Herba did investigation of General Kadwa and the DPCI members. When I consulted with him, the explanation, what I'm speaking of here, is the explanation he gave me that from his investigation, he suspects that I was being misled and used in using the inquiry by these members.
Witness, I'm not sure I follow your explanation. So are you saying that when you met with General Herba and he told you his suspicions regarding that you were perhaps being used, you then took that story and recounted it at the meeting?
Yes.
To what end? For what purpose?
No, as I suspected that, remember when I got to the scene, immediately when I found out that this is the CI guy, I knew the CI guy reports to General Khan. So I needed to give them what will please them. Because I knew immediately when I saw him that I knew that he's reporting to General Khan. And as I said that I needed to play along, I needed to give them what it will please them. That's why when the responder was giving, I was narrating, I didn't tell him that it's what General Herba was suspecting. I just told him as if it's my recollection.
We will deal with this recording in detail, but you will note that in this recording or your conversations with the 2 gentlemen, it is actually you who start speaking about the story and you offer it to them. It is not you being asked. And you then portray
Commissioner-
that as the true account. Now, if you consider
Commissioner-
that, oh, my apologies, yes?
Commissioner, before we go further, the recording, this transcript, is just needed before we continue with it. I just needed to clarify that I doubt is the full disclosure of what was recorded. I suspect some of the things has been erased or not been put in. As some of the things indicated, doesn't involve full disclosure of the meeting we had. I would say the recording or when it was sent to be transcribed, what was sent was already contaminated.
But you don't deny telling them this and representing it as the truth.
Yes.
And when you consider this representation or this version alongside what Sergeant Pakula says, isn't it reasonable for me to deduce that that was actually the real plan? Is that you had a conversation with Warrant Officer Pakula, you needed to legitimize the three's presence, and this is the document that you used?
No, Commissioner. That can be proved with my call records. I didn't know him and I never communicated with him. Even on the same day or before. I only knew him on the same day.
And thereafter you proceeded to talk to him?
Yeah, I communicated with him. I think it was when they were released from prison.
All right. Thank you, Witness I. Now, let's continue with your statement. Yesterday, I think it was Commissioner Baloyi who asked you why you needed to tell Sergeant Pakula to bring a narcotic dog. You said you were informing him because he needed to know that he must bring a narcotic dog. Just to note that even
Yes.
My apologies.
The reason I asked him to bring a narcotics dog, sometimes I meet him, you find that he doesn't have a dog with him. So I needed to confirm that the dog is there. Because I met him, I think, twice or three times during the course of the days. And I found him, he didn't have a dog with him.
Are you saying you had met Sergeant Pakula in a narcotics operation and he didn't have a dog with him? During an operation of narcotics?
Yes, some time back, yes.
So what would he be doing there if he's K9 and he's at an operation that involves narcotics and he doesn't have a dog? What then is his role there? Would have been his role?
When I met him without a dog, he was not on an operation.
Yes.
He was around.
Yes. Yes, that's a clarification I wanted you to make, that wherever you had met him before, it had nothing to do with a narcotics operation. He didn't have and he didn't have his dog because it had nothing to do with a narcotics operation. And
yes, Commissioner.
And so the question is still relevant then that I asked yesterday, that he tells you he's been called to a narcotics scene or operation, and he's going there. That's how he calls you. He's going there to an operation. Why would it be necessary, or would you consider it necessary to tell a member of K9 who says, I've been called to a narcotics operation, that he should bring a dog with him?
I was confirming that, Commissioner.
You were just confirming. You didn't think he knows that already. By the time he calls you, he knows what's happening at the scene. And that therefore, he must bring the dog. You didn't think that?
No, that's why I was confirming with him, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you.
Witness, I just to place it on record that if you have regard to Sergeant Pakula's statement, he does state clearly that on the day in question, they were in possession of a narcotic dog, and when Warrant Officer Pakula called, he requested their assistance using the narcotic dog to bring the dog, and that's at paragraph 1 and 2 of that statement at page 408. So
Yes.
I don't see how you needed to tell him that.
Okay.
Then let's continue with your.
I hear you.
You hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, if we continue with your statement, you then say, let's go to paragraph 12. Actually, we have dealt with the inquiry. The only thing I'd want to know there is who was the source that was talking to Sergeant Masoma?
I didn't ask him his source. I didn't ask him the name of the source.
Did you ask him anything about the source, really?
No, he should. When he showed me the message, I asked, where does the message come from? He didn't tell me by mouth that there's this information. He showed me a WhatsApp message. And I read through the message and I asked, the message comes from whom? He said, my source in Durban.
Okay. So you don't know who that source is. Then at paragraph 13, you say that before leaving to the scene, you never reported to anyone as a senior officer. You were scared or had a fear of information being compromised at a higher level. It is, if the information was positive and related to our inquiry, the plan was to report after the arrest. Now, I want to put it to you that it's not true that you didn't report. Rather, that you did report, but what you reported was incorrect or you misrepresented what you were going to do.
No, Commissioner. It's beforehand. Can I explain?
All right, you can explain.
Before Pakula phoned me, Sergeant Pakula phoned me, I was with the Colonel Siobe. I told her I've got a family thing. I needed to go to High Court on some personal issues of my son for custody things. And then she said, okay, no, it's fine. But before I could leave, it's when I received this call from Sergeant Pakula. It's not after then.
So your version is that it's not, you told Colonel Siobe that you were going to the
Yes.
High Court. And what time was that?
It should really have been earlier, past 8 to 9.
And when you told her that you're going to the High Court, was that true? You had a High Court family thing that morning?
Yeah, I had some custody issue I needed to attend to. Not at the court. I was supposed to go meet someone who will represent me on the custody issue.
So you were not going to court, you were going to meet a representative.
Yes, yes.
And that's what you told us.
And then after it's when I received a call from Sergeant Pagol.
Okay.
Witness, I just want to take you to what your commanding officer said in this regard. If we can go to the exhibit file, Boyson's case, the one that has a docket and Khan disciplinary at page 173. Are you there?
Yes.
You'll see that he speaks about what you said at paragraph 3 of her statement. In particular, she says, my apologies, just for context. He received a call from Colonel Bok inquiring about your whereabouts. At the time, Colonel Bok, who was your commanding officer, was off sick and he was standing in. And now she was giving an explanation to Colonel Bok, who was asking about your whereabouts. So, in particular, she said to him, my response to that was that this is the end of paragraph 2. My response to that was that I know nothing about such, that the two officers, yourself and Masuma, were busy with. Oh my goodness, I read the wrong sentence. My response to that was that I know nothing about such operation and that both members didn't inform me of any operational duties that they will be part of or information that they had been working on the day in question. When it goes on to say at paragraph 3, I further informed that the only thing I know about you was that you told her that you were rushing to the High Court to obtain some documents. Can you see that?
Yes.
So do you have a comment to that? Because she seems to have labored under the impression that you went to the High Court to collect some documents.
Maybe that was the misunderstanding because I told her about my custody issue that I needed to sort things out.
Did you say Johannesburg High Court to her?
Yes, Commissioner.
Because you see, it makes a difference going to Joburg versus going to the Pretoria High Court will account for the time when you are missing. And she will labor under the belief that the reason you took so long is because you are in the Joburg High Court. Because if you are in the Pretoria High Court, it's literally 15 minutes from the office. Why would she think you are in the Joburg High Court if that's not what you told her?
No, the person I was supposed to meet the person in Joburg High Court.
All right, thank you, witness. I now, just so that we also understand your reluctance to tell your commanding officer, yesterday you testified in broad terms that you had a fear or you were scared of the information being compromised at a high level. When we asked for clarity, you indicated that initially you said conflict of interest, or that if info gets out, people may be tipped off. Just to understand.
Yes.
And then Commissioner Baloyi asked you who your commanding officers were, and you indicated it was Unit Commander Colonel Bork. Now, do you have any experience of your commanding officers compromising investigations?
No, not my commanding office. When I report to my commanding office, he needs to report to provincial office higher up. And where is reporting higher up is where it's being compromised.
Now, do you have experience of an incident where you reported to your commanding officer who then reported to a provincial office and the investigation was then compromised?
I can't recall exact case numbers, but planned operations to be done, you find that we plan on doing something and then ultimately it fails because it has been reported beforehand or it doesn't materialize because it's reported beforehand.
I mean, the first distinction...
That's why my stance mostly is that we execute the operation. Once arrest has been made, it's reported then when we have been successful.
In this case, who is we? Because you leave Pretoria, it's just you and Masoma, and you've had a call from Sergeant Pakula of K9. You are going to a scene. You've been given a scene, so we know that the truck has stopped by the time you leave Pretoria. The truck has been stopped. It's in Ayrton at a specific location. That's where you are headed to. You do not summon anyone to come and assist you with the operation. Who is we? We are going to execute and then report afterwards. Who are you going to execute this with?
No. Commissioner, when we left, it was not for execution. It was to check and verify. It's like it was information checking. But when we got there, it was explained that it is the same quantity as Masoma received the message. And while Warrant Officer Pakula was briefing me, what normally happens after he has briefed me, it's when everything will be dealt with, asking who have you called, who's outstanding, that could be called. The role players needed necessary.
So if it is to go and verify and you arrive at the scene, what makes you say this is your drugs under your inquiry number 2020 if you're still going to be verifying? Because at that point, you see, let me explain. You leave Pretoria, you now say you didn't know that this is your inquiry number case. You were going to verify. That's why you are without people. You haven't summoned anyone to go and do an operation with you. You get there.
Yes.
You get there. You speak only to Pakula. And the next thing you say is, this is my sin. When Khan arrives, you've decided this is my sin, when in fact you haven't verified that there's drugs or these black bags. At that point, it's just black bags on the back of a van that are there, and you've been told they come from Durban. You haven't verified anything. So we are back at which point are you in a position to assert that this is your sin? If you're still going to be, you go there and arrive to verify. And I want to suggest to you that you knew exactly what it was. That's why you were able to assert yourself and say, this is my sin. It's because you've been told what's in there. Do you want to comment? Do you have any?
No, Commissioner.
Maybe let me ask you. Okay, thank you.
Witness, before we step off this issue, I just want to understand, what do you understand to be the utility of reporting to your commanding officer when you go out for an operation? or, as you say, a verification exercise?
Pardon? The question is?
What do you understand to be the reason why an officer must report to a commanding officer before they undertake an operation or go anywhere?
So they could know whereabouts of the member.
Why do you think it's important for them to know the whereabouts of a member?
No, so they could account where the member is.
Yes, and now do you see the difficulties when officers go to do operations or verification exercises without telling their commanding officers?
Yes.
And
Is there anything that prevented you from telling, I think it's Brigadier Siobe, Colonel Siobe, or whoever was your immediate superior at that time that you reported to say to them, I'm out of the office, I'm following a lead, without disclosing what it is? Why could you not do that? If you accept that the reason that someone else in your office and your superior should know where you are is so that your movements are accounted for, why could you not, and why did you not say, I'm following on a lead and I'll report to you later? Witness.
Commissioner, I believe by that status, my take was that I'll report once I know everything what has happened when I get where I've been asked to come.
Yeah, but you've told us that. So I'm asking the question, why? Why did you not say to Colonel Siobe that you informed? She was the acting unit commander, I think you say. You told her, I'm going to Johannesburg High Court. So you know that when you have disappeared, she knows you to be in the Johannesburg High Court. I'm asking you, why did you not say to her, I'm now following on a lead and I will come back to report to you once I know what's going on?
I should have done that, Commissioner.
Thank you.
And then, witness, in your exchange with Commissioner Baloyi, you said that you needed to verify because you then confirmed the quantity of the drugs once you were there. But this is different from what you said in your statement. There you said that you knew the quantity before, and it is this quantity that led you to believe that it's the same inquiry. So it's either you didn't know, and so there's no reason why you would have believed that it's part of the inquiry, or you did know, and then you were just trying to conceal the fact that you wanted to go there and take over the investigation. It's one of the two. It can't be both.
No, I was informed of the quantity, and I needed to confirm on when I get there that what I was told is right. It's as it is.
Witness, it's fine. I hear your answer. Then I want us to...
Can I just ask, you got there and you found DPCI members from Germiston and Johannesburg. Why did you not talk to them? It's their jurisdiction. Johannesburg, Ayrton is in Johannesburg. Why did you not go and speak to them? You're still verifying. You arrive on the scene, you don't know yet that these are your drugs that belong to your inquiry number. Why do you not speak to members of the DPCI?
Commissioner, the people who called me to the scene, I had to get a briefing first, and after then I'll relate with my other colleagues of Johannesburg and Germiston. I needed to get a briefing first of what is really happening. After then, I relate or communicate with my fellow colleagues of Germiston and Joburg.
But you were not called by Pakula, by Warrant Officer Pakula, and that's who you go and speak to. You do say in your statement that when you arrived, you found DPCI Johannesburg and
Yes.
and Germiston. So you knew when you saw them when you arrived that your colleagues are there. You then go to Pakula, who's not the person that called you to the scene, Warrant Officer Pakula. I'm sorry, it doesn't make sense that you would do that unless you were quite deliberate and calculated in your decision of who to speak to. You left Pretoria, and I want to suggest this to you for comment. You left Pretoria knowing with information of what the bust is about. You made a decision not to inform the acting unit commander that you are going to Ayrton, because at that time you do have the specifics of where this operation is unfolding. You know that they are at a particular location. And so even your concern about where it will go out to others and there will be problems doesn't quite hold, because at this point you've been told that the truck is parked at this particular location. You don't tell your superior who's in the office because you actually are hiding from her for wrong reasons, not for the reasons you give us. For the wrong reasons, you're hiding from her where in fact you are going. And you do so knowing that she's under the impression that you've gone somewhere else to the High Court, because that's what you told her. You arrive at the scene, you find DPCI who have control, jurisdictional control over the scene. You don't speak to them. You instead go to speak to someone who's not anywhere close to why you are here, Pakula. You allow a K9 member to take you to Pakula, and then you get, immediately after you're talking to Pakula, you haven't verified anything. You say, this is my scene. You're taking charge. I want to suggest to you that all of that conduct up to this point is calculated conduct, because you came knowing that you are coming here to an operation that you are coming to legitimize, as Ms. Bowe says, to legitimize an operation that is unaccounted for on the books. It's nowhere on the books, this operation, at that point when you arrive. Do you want to comment?
No comment, Commissioner.
Thank you.
I want to suggest to you, Witness I, that the reason for you going to the Ayrton scene, precisely what Commissioner Baloyi says, there was an unlawful operation by Makano and Pakula and Mashaba, and they were interrupted by subs who were dispatched there by 10-111. And your presence there and your use of this 2020 inquiry number was to legitimize what was otherwise an unlawful operation to steal the drugs. You going there and presenting this number and saying you were called was a cover so that they can say, no, this is a lawful police operation. Even Saneb is here, it has been called. But you were called after the boys and subs, or the subs who were dispatched by 10-111, had interrupted what Makano and Mashaba were doing. And you knew going there that the purpose of you going there was to go legitimize an unlawful operation. And that's why you did not tell your superiors. I know I said a mouthful, but do you understand what I said?
Yeah, I hear, Commissioner, because that's what was also explained to me by General Kheba, which I was not aware.
Because it doesn't explain your conduct. Even if you were aware, it doesn't explain why you would mislead your superiors. As Commissioner Baloyi said, You could have said to them, I'm following up on an inquiry that we have already opened. I can't give you the details yet. I will give you the details when I come back. They would not have leaked that information because it is meaningless, but at least they know what you are doing and what you are attending to. But saying to them that you are going to the High Court on a personal matter when you knew that that was not true, even if the call came after you had told your superior, nothing stopped you before leaving to say to them, I'm no longer going to the High Court. I'm now following up on something we are busy with that is related to our inquiries. Do you follow that?
Yeah, I follow, Commissioner.
Thank you. And you can comment if you want, or if it's clear to you. I'm going to leave it at that.
Witness, on this topic of who you decided to talk to, I just want us to dig a little deeper. Now, Commissioner Baloyi asked you about DPCI. Now, we know from testimony that there were multiple other units at the scene. This included Boyson's police. It included members of the flying squad and various others, including, I think there was an officer record, so I'm not even sure where that officer is from. Why didn't you speak to all the other officers?
No, I spoke with Colonel JC afterwards.
Yes, that was after, when you were trying to justify your presence. I'm saying because all of these units were there before you, and some of them had been at the scene for a considerable amount of time. Why didn't you talk to them? Witness I?
Yes, Commissioner.
Do you need me to repeat the question, or you just don't have an answer?
Yes. Yes, repeat the question.
The question is, these officers, at least Boyson's and Flying Squad, were at the scene for a considerable amount of time, and yet them you didn't speak to as well. Why is that?
Remember when I got to the scene, Sergeant Pakula took me, as I read, Sergeant Pakula came and took me to Warrant Officer Pakula.
Yes.
And then the other was whom I did see, I spoke with them afterwards, like Colonel JC.
Yes, but those you were talking to because you were trying to justify your presence at the scene, not to understand the scene. But it's okay. Let's deal with who you did talk to. Now, if you look at that composition of the team, surely it should have aroused some suspicion. The first person you speak to is the K9 unit who takes you to Sergeant Pakula, who is a member of Nino based in Pretoria. He's there accompanied by Sergeant Mahani. He's a desk policeman from Zonke Sizwe. And the third person there is Chief Mashaba, who is a traffic officer. And those were the three people you got the briefing from, who by all accounts should not have been there. You were saying no?
Got a briefing from Pakula only. He's the one who was briefing me. Warrant Officer Pakula.
The point still stands. He's equally an unlikely suspect to be there.
Yes, Commissioner.
All right. And then let's then deal with the other things that would have been immediately apparent to you. The first is the scene wasn't cordoned off. At least that's the evidence that has been led. So you arrive, there are policemen at the scene, and guess Warrant Officer Pakula is in charge of the scene, but you see that the scene isn't cordoned off. Does that not raise alarm bells when you arrive?
Yes.
And what do you do about that?
That was going to be addressed once I've been briefed in full that the place needs to be cordoned off. Even with the bags in a police baggie, as I ask, why are they inside the baggie, not the truck? And the responder got, once briefing has been done, I was going to request whoever will move them to make a statement to that effect on why was it moved from the truck to the baggie. But all those things were going to be done after full briefing has been done.
And you didn't think it important that the first thing you do is to secure the scene, so that while you're being briefed, you at least know that the scene is secure?
No, I needed to get full briefing before I could act on anything.
You needed a full briefing even for things you could see are obviously wrong.
Yeah, the wrong things, Commissioner, were going to be highlighted to those members once the briefing has been done in full.
Then the second thing is that key role players were not there. Did that not also raise suspicion?
No, the only thing I was informed was that a photographer has been phoned.
And you took that
that's why
Oh, my apologies, continue.
And that's why I needed to know if other people have been called upon. That's why I was awaiting other.
And who did you have in mind in that regard? You say
that contacting
other people.
FSL.
And besides FSL?
Because the dog was already there on the scene. Getting details of the driver who has been placed under arrest and questioning him.
No. Surely you can't be referring to the driver when you talk about other people who you expected to still come. The driver was there, so you're not talking about the driver. Tell us about the other people.
As I mentioned, FSL and media license and the photographer LCRC, they said it's already been called.
Witness you get there and you've got drugs that are in a van, which we know is unmarked. You don't think anything is wrong with that? When they tell you that.
That's why I asked.
Yes, and I see you asked, and they told you that they opened the truck and the bags fell from the truck. That's why they were kept in the police bakkie. They fell from the truck, not into the bakkie.
Mm.
You didn't see anything wrong with that. They took those drugs that fell out of the truck, they took them and they put them in a bakkie, in an unmarked
No.
bakkie that belongs to Zonki Zizwe police station driven by Mahane, who is a desk-bound person. At that point, you didn't see anything wrong with that.
No, I knew it was wrong. That's why I mentioned earlier that statement was going to be needed on reason why it was put in a police bag.
When I say you didn't see anything wrong with that, I'm asking you didn't think that conduct is suspicious.
No, I took it, he didn't know how to handle a crime scene because you don't move things which are exhibit on the mat.
When you
leave
say,
them as they are.
yes, when you say he didn't know how to handle a crime scene, who? Pakula, Warrant Officer Pakula, because you say he was in charge when you got there. So you decided that Warrant Officer Pakula doesn't know how to handle a crime scene. That's why these things are on the bakkie.
No, when I asked why were they on a baggie, he informed me that he was told they fell from a baggie. Whoever told him they fell from a baggie is the one I refer, not knowing how to handle a crime scene.
Thank you.
Okay, can I ask you this? In paragraph 23 of your statement on page 8, you describe yourself as an experienced investigator. And then you say,
Yes.
you say what your observations at the scene were, you set them out. Why do you not set out that your observations at the scene were that Mahane, Pakula, and Mashaba did wrong things that don't comply with the prescripts? Why do you not mention that in your statement? Forget the reason, they may have been inexperienced, but why do you not in your statement mention that these are the things that they did that were wrong? Why do you not mention them?
I don't know, Commissioner, why I didn't mention that. Because I believe I mentioned the actions that happens afterwards then.
No, but I'm asking about,
Not what
I'm asking you about your observations. You are an experienced investigator. You arrive at the
Yes.
scene and you see that 27 bags are loaded onto a van. And you've confirmed to Commissioner Baloy that that is not correct. Why do you not mention in your
Yes.
statement that what you observed there, which Mahano, Pakula, and Mashaba were doing, were incorrect and not in accordance with the prescripts?
No, I don't know, Commissioner, why I didn't mention that.
You see, this is what leads to the suspicion that you were going there to cover up for them. Because the next thing you say is you abuse the DPCI generals and the CI generals of rank abuse of power. That's what you say. You say, my observations at the scene indicated potential abuse of power and rank, and the reasons remain unclear. You are completely silent on the improper conduct of Mahane, Pakula, and Mashaba. In fact, you are the one who advises them to go to IPID and open a case. And that's how they end up opening a case. But you say nothing about their conduct. And thus you create the impression that their conduct was proper. It's the people who interfered with what they were doing that were acting improperly. And the question is why? Why do you do that?
Maybe I should have stipulated, Commissioner, that also their conduct was improper by removing the bags. I didn't state it in my statement. I should have stated it.
You say in paragraph 24 that you were concerned that the actions of the generals appeared to be an effort to protect both the driver of the truck found with the drugs and to obscure the origin of the vehicle and its contents. Are you saying this because you were suspecting the driver to be guilty of an offense? If so, what was the basis of your suspicion?
Yes, with experience, Commissioner, driver of trucks, always they say they don't know anything of the contents of the truck they are driving. But whereas they are knowledgeable and they know what they are transporting.
This system this rip-on, rip-off system of consigning or sending drugs to a consignee, do you know exactly how it works, or don't you?
I have a slight idea, Commissioner.
I'm sorry?
I have a slight idea.
A slight idea. So are you saying in that system drivers are always aware of what's happening? I'm not saying they I'm not saying they don't. I just want to know from you whether you are saying they are always aware.
Most of them, Commissioner.
And how do you know this? Because I think one question before you said that you know very little. I'm paraphrasing, of course. So how do you know that most of them do know that they are actually delivering, or the truck they are driving is transporting drugs being sent or consigned through the rip-on, rip-off system? How do you know that? That most of them, underline most, are aware?
Yeah, in that they pretend as if they are not knowledgeable, whereas they are.
Now that reasoning is what second us, because I want to know how you say that, especially that you are saying most of them know. Now you are just saying they pretend. That's not answering the question. Why and how? Why do you say that? How do you know? My sense is that you don't have much experience with the rip-on, rip-off system. So how do you say, am I wrong that you don't have much experience with it?
Yes, Commissioner.
You do not?
Yes.
Now, how can you say that most of the drivers in this system, all manner of conveyance, do know, that is the drivers do know? How do you say that? You've not answered that question yet. Bear in mind that you say that you have very little experience of this.
Considering previous in where the driver, like the container which was arrested in 2020, the drivers, they did know what the contents of what they had on the boat.
They did not know.
It says they knew.
They knew. And this is one.
Yes.
And this is one incident in 2020. This is one incident in 2020.
Yes.
And you say most drivers from one incident. Is that how you draw your inference?
Or maybe I should not have mentioned most. I
So
should have said some.
Oh, no, not even some. All you know is this one driver. correct? Is that correct, witness I?
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you. Let's take the lunch adjournment and come back at 25 to 3.